We started giving injections at 9 o'clock this morning, and we had people here at 7:30, and they were lined up, kind of twisted around the hallway and out into the parking lot.
Bridge is more than just a card game. It's a cerebral sport. Bridge teaches logic, reasoning, quick thinking, patience, concentration, and partnership skills.
Marilyn Nornberg may be a retired teacher, but that doesn't mean she stays away from school. She now volunteers to teach fifth graders the game of bridge to help their math skills. The game has a reputation as difficult to learn.
Yeah, there's a lot of rules to follow, and it's pretty hard. But once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy.
Some of these fifth graders were leery of the game until they got into it.
Well, at first I kind of had doubts about it, but since I started playing it, I think it's really, really fun.
So fun, most of the school's fifth graders are in the program.
We have 34 fifth graders, and my understanding is we have approximately 28 students participating.
To many of us, bridge is the game our mothers played with their friends, but this new generation is changing that perception.
I think bridge is a really fun game. You have to think, and it does help you in math.
Along with math, learning the game's many rules also corresponds with how we all learn the rules of life.
There's times when they get really frustrated because there's so many rules to learn, but every rule is a stepping stone to the next rule, and before you know it, they're going to know it all. Right.
Yeah.
At Piedmont Elementary School, Dave Anderson, News 6.
Bentleyville is what we call a tour of lights, which is 3 acres of holiday lights where people walk through blacktop paths, just enjoying the lights of many, many animated things to look at, as well as 500 snowflakes up in the trees.
Bentleyville is named after its founder, Nathan Bentley. A few years ago, he decided to have fun with Christmas lights, and now his annual display pulls in 30,000 visitors.
It's been fantastic. We have so many repeat people that have come through, and they've made it a family tradition to come by here each year now.
Leonard Sheets and his friends are new visitors to Bentleyville this year.
It was so nice to be out here and take part in the festivities and the recognizing of Christ's birth, and my dear friends behind me who were so kind to invite me. It's my first time.
Running a display like this takes a lot of juice.
Well, we have 3 electrical services in here equal to 1,200 amps of power. The castle behind me alone has over 45,000 lights on it, just this castle alone.
All that power costs a fair amount of money.
So we're estimating the electricity bill to be somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000.
Bentley does take donations to defray that cost, but he's more interested in collecting goods for people in need during the holiday season.
Yes, we also have a toy and non-perishable food drop-off here, and many of the people have been bringing toys and food, which we are collecting for the Salvation Army.
Bentleyville is open 7 nights a week from Thanksgiving to New Year's Eve. Nathan is out with the crowd each of those evenings. That gives him plenty of time to scheme.
Well, every night when you stand out here for almost 38 nights, you start thinking about other things you can do for next year. So we've got some plans already in works just within the first 8 nights of being out here. We're starting to think about next year.
That's great news to first-time visitor Leonard Sheets, who plans to become one of Bentleyville's many repeat guests.
Well, I think it's wonderful. It certainly puts me in the mood for the holidays.
In Cloquet, Dave Anderson, News 6.
It is a narrow stretch of highway, and they've had accidents up there, but it does need some improvements.
Roy Breeden drives Highway 169 regularly and says the road could use some changes, and those changes could be right around the corner. It's called the Highway 169 North Improvement Plan, and it comes with a hefty price tag of $20.46 million. Beverly Heinrich volunteers at a church along Highway 169. She says the way the road is now, drivers are at risk.
Coming up a hill and just over a hill right before they turn off into the church parking lot here.
Changing the road would cut into the church lot and possibly hurt area businesses, but Beverly says it's worth it.
It needs to be improved on, and if they could put turnout lanes for our church area here and for the businesses along this area, that would be really helpful.
The car you see being pulled out of the ditch is pulling out of Bayless Street. As the driver accelerated, he fishtailed, went out of control, collided with a car that was northbound on Rice Lake Road, and then he went down into the ditch.
Every December 7th, veterans and service people gather at the deck to remember the attack on Pearl Harbor. A wreath is tossed into the bay to honor the thousands lost in the battle. A gathering was also held at the Bong World War II Heritage Center in Superior. Navy veteran Keith Thompson was there to take part. When Pearl Harbor happened, Thompson was already an experienced sailor serving in the Navy here in Minnesota.
I was in the Boy Scouts Troop 9 up in the Hunters Park area in Duluth. And I got tired of the Boy Scouts after I got out of high school, and so everybody was joining the Naval Reserve.
Keith was at a naval air station in the Twin Cities.
We had about 20 cadets down there, which one of them, by the way, was George Bush Sr., was a young punk learning how to fly. I can say that because I was about 22 then.
War preparations were taking place at Thompson's unit well before the attack on Pearl Harbor.
I can't understand how Pearl Harbor could have happened with people so lax after we being here in Minnesota and Wisconsin being told we are at war.
The Pearl Harbor attack meant 4 more years in the service for Keith. He first pulled anti-submarine duty in the Atlantic, where his ship was credited with sinking a Japanese sub on the way to rendezvous with the Germans.
We happened to intercept them, and we got the submarine and sunk, and there was several hundred pounds of gold on that submarine. I think they're still looking for it now.
Keith eventually transferred to the Pacific Theater and was there when the war ended. 64 years later, he feels it's still important that all Americans continue to remember Pearl Harbor.
I think that it's protecting the United States. We have been free, and we are free right now.
Dave Anderson, News 6.
I've always tried to work a little bit harder than everyone around me, and when you do that, you can excel. And
I can see why people might want to come up here.
Bill Campbell is one of the millions of tourists who visit the area each year. One of the biggest draws for him, the big water that sits in the city's backyard.
I like ships, and this is our little ocean port, and it's kind of interesting.
For years, Visit Duluth has focused on Lake Superior as the city's major attraction. It's an effort that's paid off. A survey this past summer shows some promising results for the city's tourism industry.
We've been leaders in creating a brand for Duluth.
About 1,000 people took part in the survey either by phone or face-to-face interviews both in Duluth and the Twin Cities. The goal was to see what motivates people to visit the area, then compare those results with a similar poll from 1999. Officials saw some major improvements.
We know that Duluth is the primary destination for 75% of our visitors, which is a huge jump over what we saw in 1999 when the number was only about 47%.
There was also an increase in midweek visits, and tourists are staying an average of 3 days rather than 1 to 2 days, which was the norm in 1999.
Clearly our strategies are working.
But there are areas that do need work. Visit Duluth officials will focus on historic and outdoor adventure tourism in the coming years.
I think that's going to be a great launch pad for us into the future.
Because with 16 years of continued growth, folks at Visit Duluth know they will have to keep raising the bar to keep visitors coming back to the city. In Duluth, Rachel Slavic, News 6.
It becomes frustrating, very frustrating.
For 23 years, the St. Louis County chapter of Mothers Against Drunk Driving has worked tirelessly to send the message to not drink and drive. But MAD chapter co-founder Cal Hayworth says their work took a hit when Duluth Mayor Herb Bergson was charged with an OWI near Spooner, Wisconsin.
We are working so hard to try to tell our high school students, to try to tell our college students, you can't do these things. And yet here comes an elected official of the government saying, oh, yes, you can.
The mayor has apologized for his actions, stating he used poor judgment. But Hayworth says that's putting it lightly, since the accident could have been much worse than a few cuts to his face.
The fact that Herb Bergson became drunk, got behind his car, sideswiped a railing, hits an obstruction in the median, and doesn't hit anybody else is just unadulterated luck.
Others won't have that kind of luck. According to MAD, this year alone, 300 people will be killed by a drunk driver in Minnesota and 400 in Wisconsin. MAD officials say Bergson now has a chance to keep others from making the same choice.
It would be a great thing for the mayor to find groups that he could talk to, young or old, about this mistake that he made.
In the coming days and weeks, the mayor will show how he plans to handle the situation, but Hayworth says a good first step toward rebuilding his image may be promising to never drink and drive again.
He needs to restore that by his actions, by his comments, but comments without action won't do it either.
To alcohol, I don't need it anymore. But well, to know the Holy Spirit as a personal friend.
Is ranked #1 in our conference with a 6-0 record right now. Where's the 3-day series? It is time to stop turning our backs on the problems in our communities and start doing something about them.
You know, that we just really have to believe in ourselves and in our children.
Speakers stressed the importance of keeping kids in school, getting a quality education in a support.
Some, they feel betrayed, that they fell for it, and embarrassment could be part of it, frustration.
Imagine receiving a letter stating you've won a foreign lottery. All you have to do to claim your prize is cash the check that was sent with the letter to pay for certain fees, and then wire the money on to another country.
A lot of the people that are receiving this, they believe it to be true. What comes to them looks very official.
But it's when folks wire that money that they fall victim to the scam. The check they cashed while counterfeit was stolen from another party's actual bank account. That's why banks don't catch it right away. The victims are then left wiring between $2,000 and $10,000 to an unknown company.
The customer who deposited the check, it suffers the financial loss.
The elderly are the ones who usually feel that loss. Bank officials say most will go on the internet to sign up for legitimate foreign lotteries like this Euro lottery website. Only this day and age, criminals are so good at duplicating sites, it's hard to tell the difference between the real and the fake.
These customers enter it in, they believe, well, it says right there, I won. So this validates that I'm the winner.
Once people fall for the scam, it's hard for authorities to resolve the issue.
It's just not a reality for us financially to be able to go to another country, and you have jurisdiction issues.
So the best way to protect yourself from falling for this scam is prevention.
If you actually win the lottery, they're never going to ask for you to send them money. Okay, that's the key. You will never be asked to send money.
And remembering the age-old advice of, you don't get something for nothing. In Duluth, Rachel Slavic, CBS 3.
I think this is a set of recommendations that we should get behind with the acknowledgement that in the specific details we may have disagreements, and even in some broad generalities we may have council disagreements, but that we will work through them, recognizing that the problem needs to be solved.
The current unfunded liability facing Duluth is $280 million, and the task force members say this number is expected to grow to over $300 million by 2007.
On some quarters that the problem's not as significant perhaps as it's being made out to be, and I guess councilors, my response to that is on this one I would much rather overreact than underreact.
These reactions include asking active and retired city employees to help share some of the cost of their health care plans, as well as 4 to 5% increases on utility rates. But all councilors agree the task force recommendations are a foot in the right direction.
The actuary that was put out there, I believe last numbers were $280 million. That was at a point where we were going to do nothing. Well, we are going to do something now. So we will bring that number way down, and this is the first step.
Thank you, Councilor Stover. Other comments, councilors?
The Union Gospel Mission is a family-run affair. Christy Berggren works there with her dad, mom, and brother. She's been doing that since the age of 5.
My dad started out as a dishwasher, so as he came in here, I'd go and I'd sort through the toys and the clothes and fold them.
This year, Christy is helping out with toy pickup just in time for Christmas.
We know that it's a tight Christmas this year, so that helping everybody who needs it is a good feeling, and I can go to sleep at night, so it's good.
The Union Gospel Mission expects to help about 500 children with this toy drive.
When you don't have much money of income, it's good for the children where you can come and pick out what gifts you want, and you can always find something for each child what you want.
Actually, the mission may not have everything needed for each child this year. Christy's dad, Al, who has moved up from dishwasher to executive director, says they still need items for older kids.
We need older children, kids, about 16 years old. We're out of that kind of toys. We have a lot of the younger children stuff, but we need older kids.
According to Al, items for older kids can be donated until Wednesday afternoon. Christy hopes the Northland will come through in time.
It doesn't take much at all. I mean, $5 here and there helps out a lot and goes a long way. So we take anything that we can get.
In Duluth, Dave Anderson, News 6.
But this meal is free to anybody that needs a meal or needs to come for just to be with other people. That was the whole purpose of our dinner, was so that people could mingle with people.
It's 9 a.m. We're on board a fire rig headed for the Ashland Marina. Mild temperatures are melting the ice, conditions which can make for real-life danger. And while it's warm outside, the water in Chequamegon Bay is just 32 degrees. Firefighter paramedic David Wegener helped get me into a special ice rescue suit. I was about to experience a practice rescue firsthand.
Everybody on the department goes through an annual training. It's kind of a refresher, keep everybody up on their skills as far as ice rescue.
Something that is essential here, because in this neck of the woods, there's just as much activity on the water in the winter as there is in the summer.
We have a lot of recreational users. We have snowmobilers, four-wheelers, ice fishermen. We have people out here on ice boats, so it's pretty important that we are proficient in what we do for this area.
They would practice 3 different types of ice rescues, all used in life or death emergencies when someone falls through the ice. And it was time to get started. Having never jumped into a lake in December, I didn't know what to expect.
Today we'll be practicing a self-rescue where the rescuer will use ice picks to assist himself out of the water back onto the ice.
I was a bit nervous to try this one and actually rescue myself, but it was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Just $6 can save your life. You can buy these ice picks at Walmart or any sporting goods store, and they make it a lot easier to get out of the ice. Once we got that one down, it was on to the next technique called a throw rescue.
That's where the rescuer will throw a victim a rope bag to help the victim kind of self-rescue themselves.
Lieutenant Kevin Tamke and Cal Hughes gave this one a try first, then I gave it a shot. Hypothermia can set in within 5 minutes. One of the first symptoms is weakness and an inability to grasp things, for example, a rescue rope. When that happens, a third technique is used as a last resort.
They might not be strong enough due to hypothermia setting in, and that's when we decide to make a go rescue, where we actually enter the water and get a hold of the victim.
Once a rescuer is in the water, their life is also at risk. It's important to approach the victim from the back so the victim doesn't pull you under in a panic. I tried this technique and it was a little tricky to get the rope around, but I pulled it off.
It's important for us to practice our rescue techniques. The more you do it, the better you get. We want to be proficient at what we do and be able to do the best job that we can.
Nearly every year someone falls through the ice in northern Wisconsin, and many have lost their lives. So on this day, it was all about learning, and with each training session, they're learning how to save lives. In Ashland, I'm Melissa Ganji for True North News.
We do our snow dance every day, and hopefully everything works out.
Many winter sport retailers have resorted to superstitious means to get the snow goods this year, but the crew at Brule Sports isn't letting the lack of snow get to them just yet.
Business as usual. We sell a lot of ATVs with snow plows. Still a lot of people like going out ice fishing, so they buy a lot of ATVs. Still, ATVs are probably our #1 seller still around here. They've taken over where the snowmobile was, but we're still strong in snowmobile sales.
But down the pike a bit in Iron River, the manager of the Lumberman's Inn is getting fed up with the melting that's sending profits down the drain.
Depressing. Very depressing.
Life was good in the snowbelt just a couple of short weeks ago when a winter weather machine got the tourism season off to a good start. But those who rely on winter travelers to bring in cash during this time of year say the current base isn't anything to write home about.
Oh, we should have at least 12 inches by now.
Winter recreation conditions are actually pretty pathetic here in Iron River, a place the locals call the center of snowmobile country. And with the snowpack diminishing at the rate of an inch per day, these locals are praying for a late Christmas present.
Hopefully it's supposed to snow Wednesday through Friday, and hopefully we get a lot of it.
As the busiest time of the year, January, approaches for these winter retailers, business owners continue to hope for a little something extra for their visitors.
You still get a lot of people out there that enjoy that snowmobiling, and still a big business up here in the upper northern Wisconsin area.
And as for the snow dance?
No, we're not into the snow dances. We'll just jump for joy every time it snows.
Well, show us what the snow dance looks like.
No, I can't do it. I can't do the snow dance. That's only for personal viewing of the sales associates inside the shop every morning. We can't release it out here.
In Iron River and Brule, I'm Melissa Ellefson for True North News.
With the addition of the water park and the 65 rooms that the Edge now has, there's the second largest property in the city, and it's the first water park in the area, and it's the largest one in the area.
Shaw says Duluth needs an indoor attraction like this one so people can dive in year-round.
Lake Superior does have a knack of not warming up a whole lot if you want to go swimming in it. So this will just be another added feature for people to do.
In order to take a swim, you need to be a guest at the hotel. But Edgewater officials say depending on the size, each room comes with 4 to 6 wristbands for the water park. Shaw says it's a new era of family entertainment for Duluth.
It's another attraction to bring people here. And you know, if they've been here before and they're looking for something new, now we've got something new.
Out in heading east.
give our snowplow drivers a lot of room. Those people are out there working very hard, long hours, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in a snowstorm.
They wear out quick. So the middle-aged trucks, all the bugs are worked out of them. It's kind of nice that the newer trucks.
Friday's snowstorm found motorists struggling to get from point A to point B during their morning commute. But snowplow operators from the Minnesota Department of Transportation were there to help. Brian Kutzer received his call at 2 a.m. He was out plowing by 3 when there was already an inch of snow on the ground.
Let's try to get the wing up and over them. There we go.
Kutzer, along with other snowplow operators, worked through the morning, plowing, sanding, salting, and repeating the process.
It's about 4 blocks down, and if it's slick, you start picking out where to go in case you start sliding.
MnDOT says motorists must use extra caution when driving by plows. A snowplow can weigh up to 33 tons. That's 66,000 pounds, nearly 17 times more than an average vehicle. About 93 crashes occur in Minnesota each year involving snowplows and vehicles.
A car is no competition for one of those big pieces of equipment.
MnDOT says the problems happen when motorists begin to tailgate the plows. At any moment in time, a plow can shift 3 to 4 feet in the road, switch lanes, or change speeds quickly.
I had a guy last week pass me right there on the shoulder. He went around on the right side, around my wing plow, down in the ditch, and back up in front of me.
To avoid getting in an accident with a plow, MnDOT asks motorists to remember that snowplows travel at a slow speed. When passing, realize the front plow is 12 feet wide, plus a 9-foot wide blade extends beyond the plow, and keeping a safe distance will reduce the chance of hitting a plow.
Even though you clear a lane for them, they still insist on driving where you just put the snow.
It's winter in Minnesota, folks, and common sense rules.
That will make it easier on both the driver and snowplow operator.
When you see those amber and blue strobe lights, just stay away from them.
In Duluth, Matt Smith, News 6.
Anything in this town that a person would ever want to purchase for any kind of drugs at all. And that's Denny. He always was in a good mood, and he was a good guy to be around, and I'll dearly miss him. People have now been identified, and some have been arrested. It'll be safer. I think it was a very freaky thing and a very unfortunate accident that, is a reminder of you can never be too safe. Gone out in the streets and bought ecstasy from various drug dealers, and we're pursuing those angles. And we have our fingers on the pulse, for instance, of the ecstasy crowd.
It was just a sad deal. It was a friend of mine, played hockey with him for the last 20 years.
Bob Dow has 3 sons, and they all play hockey. The accident this past weekend is a solemn reminder about life, safety, and the notion you can never be too safe.
Full speed, Luke, full speed!
He was out Monday morning coaching his son's Squirt A hockey team.
It was just a bad accident, and it was unfortunate. He had a helmet on, but it sounds like it just hit right below his helmet, and that puck's hard. It hurts.
Duluth East High School hockey coach Mike Randolph also knew Bowers and took time Sunday to talk to his son's Pee Wee team, reminding them how fast an accident can occur.
I just reminded them of the importance of paying attention to, when you're shooting that puck, whether somebody is in line of that.
Coaches are using this accident as a learning tool, that safety always comes first, and when you enter the rink, you must always wear a helmet.
I'm not allowed to play if I don't wear a helmet to protect my head and stuff. And I have to wear a mouth guard so I don't knock my teeth out.
10-year-old Alex Toscano and his family knew Bowers personally. He says his parents want him to play safe to avoid an injury. He learned that lesson the hard way.
Last last year I didn't play with a helmet and I didn't get to play for a game.
Other players on the Squirt A hockey team say they know exactly what to do to protect themselves and their teammates. They say it's been ingrained in their heads by both their parents and coaches.
Always wear your helmet when you're skating.
You could get a concussion or break a bone or get hurt really bad.
Coaches agree that not much could have been done to prevent Bauer's accident, so they're taking this tragedy and turning it around. An unfortunate reminder to a game that many Northlanders can't live without.
Even if you're on the side of safety first, something as drastic as this could happen.
Unfortunately, that was just a freak accident, you know, I don't know. The kids pretty much adhere to those rules because of that.
For Alex, the thought of not playing hockey is unimaginable. But this weekend's tragedy hits a nerve, causing him to think twice before he steps on the ice.
People have died in hockey and stuff, so my parents always tell me if I don't play with gear, I don't play at all.
In Duluth, Matt Smith, News 6.
It's so emotional. It's about the most emotional. Somebody give you life. I don't think there's any words I can know to express it, but it really is.
Jack, is the show, in your opinion, irreverent and disrespectful to Christians?
No, ma'am. I'm a Christian, and that was never the design. We had many discussions about it in the writers' room. It was never to satirize or mock or make fun of Christianity or Jesus.
Because I think we need more street fighters in Washington, D.C. who are going to stand up for the people of the state, against the oil companies, against the drug companies, and get something done and get some solutions for people for a change.
Captain Terry Salvage updated the Christmas campaign sign today. The paint stopped at the 86% line.
The final date for it is the 15th, and we are $11,000 short of our goal. And so we're still praying and still looking for support from the community.
Not meeting this year's goal would mean programs, services, and maybe even staff would have to be cut. Those cuts could be detrimental as the need for the Salvation Army is growing.
We're seeing increases every year in the number of clients coming in, rather than decreases.
Right now, the food pantry is full, but after tomorrow, these shelves will probably be empty. Each family is allowed to visit the food shelf 6 times per year, and each visit gives them enough food for about 5 to 7 days.
The problem is most of our programs are already cut to bare minimums to start with. And so it's going to be difficult to decide where we're going to cut it.
The food shelf is one area that they've tried to reduce in recent years. The food shelf gave away 115,000 pounds of food in 2004. In 2005, the Salvation Army was forced to cut the number of times a family could visit in half. It still gave away 85,000 pounds of food that year. Salvage says he is still optimistic about making their goal.
We're getting a lot of people sending us in a check with a little note saying that they wish they could give more and that they appreciate what we're doing within the community. And it's support like that that we need.
In Hibbing, Krista Koski, Range 11.
About 6 months after the LTV closure was when Larry first came to the range and proposed the project. And so it's been a kind of a long wait. And I'm just excited that it looks like it's finally going to become a reality.
Like it's just slick, like very, very icy.
Amy has demonstrated as district attorney that she has the capacity to grasp complex issues and resolve them in the best public interest, and she will represent fairly this whole state.
But here across the Northland, just it doesn't really seem like it's going to be that cold here, at least for the next 15 days anyway. But as I mentioned, we're about a month away.
It shows that the community cares and supports us. And we want to thank the community for that support. And it means that we won't have to do the cuts that we were thinking about. It's great because it relieves the pressure, relieves the stress. It allows other things to come into the program now, other thoughts.
Dr. Amatuzio, could you just briefly describe your profession or occupation and then your education?
Okay, doctor, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. It is done to document the injuries and to help complete the picture.
It makes my skin crawl to see this person sit there, living and breathing. My daughter is a victim of this.
I heard things.
Okay, could you state your name and spell your last name, please? And blank appearing on behalf of the state. This is the time that
Pathologist for Douglas County for approximately 8 to 9 years. I graduated from the University of Minnesota.
Sit down.
I was asked to come here 13 months ago. Construction had already started. I've seen all those little noses pressed against the glass, waiting to play, and I have so enjoyed being able to see the kids laughing and splashing instead of just waiting.
Are you ready, skaters? Timers ready? Skaters, take them out. Go! Looks like this is in a well. Here comes that, here comes Mark.
It's Congress and a grateful nation. Ribbon and victory ribbon. And whereas, George, the floor is yours.
It's a great honor, and to see George Budarak, after 60 years of waiting, finally get what he should have received 60-some years ago.
It's easy to miss the evidence at the corner of Armstrong and View. Near the sidewalk in front of the Liberty Temple Church, a few ashes stain the snow.
The cross was about probably 4 feet from the little tree. But
Abel Pliego saw it through his window. Tuesday night, not even 24 hours after Martin Luther King Day, police say 3 teenagers burned a cross in a neighborhood where Pliego says minorities sometimes hear insults.
That some people, they're just joking, but in the meantime, I can see they meant it.
I vaguely seen them. It was a little short kid and another hefty kid.
Adam Staffa says the cross was about 4 feet tall, and he's not sure if pure hatred motivated the teens who planted it in front of a mostly black church.
Kids playing around, but I mean, they're old enough to drive, so maybe they do have, recognition of what happens and they know exactly maybe what they were doing with it.
St. Paul does not have a hate crime law. It was struck down in 1992 when the U.S. Supreme Court said cross burners can be punished for trespassing and arson, but they cannot be punished for their ideas.
It does get additional attention.
Still, St. Paul police say they put extra resources into cases like this one because a crime that's considered a hate crime is one the community considers especially heinous.
The message that is being received by the community is one of hate and intimidation. Whether that was the intent of the people who lit it or not, that's the way it's being received.
We haven't had too many cold mornings this year, but Saturday was one of them. The chill didn't keep Chris Larson from running his chainsaw, though. He was out early to take down a couple dozen aspen poles for a joint Cub Scout Boy Scout project.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to lash together a bunch of sticks and make a tower for completing requirements that these guys need to complete for one of their advancements.
The advancement is the last one these Webelow Cub Scouts need before they can move into Boy Scouts. Leading the construction of the tower are Boy Scout brothers Jesse and Lucas Madela. They're both in Troop 7 in Duluth and sometimes get involved in a little sibling rivalry.
Because he's always trying to make sure he's leading me.
The two put aside their brotherly differences to put up the 12-foot Popple Tower. The boys enjoyed creating the thing together, even though no one is quite sure what it's good for. Some think it would make a useful emergency signal tower.
Well, I guess it could be used as that. It could be used as your deer stand, I guess, too.
Even if the tower isn't actually good for anything tangible, the intangibles it teaches are more important.
Oh yeah, it keeps them involved and it keeps them so the boys that come up from Cub Scouts want to join the Boy Scouts. And they learn different activities or different skills and activities that they could use the rest of their life.
According to the Webelow Scouts Cub Master, his boys were successful in learning those skills and activities.
Very successful. The boys have been doing a great job. The true test will be when they climb the tower.
The tower holds together, so 3 more Cub Scouts are now eligible to move up to Boy Scouting. In Rice Lake Township, Dave Anderson, the Northlands News Center.
Jacob Schroffnagel was born and raised in Ashland, Wisconsin. He was a young man with big dreams, so he headed to the University of St. Thomas and majored in entrepreneurship. Suddenly, he had a great idea. He realized there were dozens of bridal magazines, but nothing geared towards the groom.
The wedding industry is one that'll never go away. Even if the average wedding right now costs about $26,000 in the Twin Cities, a $5 magazine is still going to be a drop in the bucket. And with a woman buying 7, 8 bridal magazines, what's one more for the fiance? And so we did it as a school project and decided to keep going with it, and took off.
His magazine covers it all, from the bachelor party to the honeymoon, and even advice for the best man.
Kind of just cover the whole scope, and just even have some random things, that just random knowledge, like Texas Hold'em tips that guys of any, whether they're getting married or already married, would want to know.
And it seems today's groom has already become a success. Word is spreading nationwide.
We actually got a call from a bridal fair in Beverly Hills that want to distribute 600 of them in their gift bags. We're getting subscriptions from New York, Kansas, Texas.
Jacob didn't know his idea would turn into something this big, but he's loving every moment of it. He's living a dream.
I love the fact that I'm working for myself, and that every morning I want to get up at 7, 6:30, go to work, and work the whole day. I'm excited every time I go to work, and we are doing something new every day, learning new things, and working with some great people. So I love that aspect of it.
So what started as an idea in college has blossomed into a reality. At the young age of 22, this young man is already on the road to success. In Ashland, I'm Melissa Ganji for True North News.
Anybody that is a first-time home buyer that is interested in looking into this program, they should talk to us. Whether or not they think they're eligible, we think it's worth them talking to us because we will help them determine if they're eligible.
since they moved in here. It's up to the citizens of the city of Duluth to see if we can't get that $33.5 million. That's half of this whole project.
Well, if you turn it on in the morning, you're gonna get.
Give them my card. Tell them.
Tell them I want to go too. Yeah.
The mayor is.
Who's Roger?
President of the council.
If they want to ask about Ely or Crane Lake or International Falls, please, call out. Nobody's canceled, yeah. The snow, we've already got snow up at Ordine for the start of the Bear Grease, and there's snow at all the road crossings. It'll be put on the trails, Sunday morning. And once the snow dog sledders get up into the hills, the weather it'll be fine. Do like we do when we live here. You pack light coats and jackets, and in a trunk you put your real heavy winter gear, because you don't know from going from one part of town to the other what the weather's going to be.
As the mushers and dogs prepared to take off at the John Bear Grease Sled Dog Marathon, onlookers counted down with excitement. 40 teams took off for what will be a 150-mile journey. 22 other competitors are venturing on the full-length marathon, one that almost reaches Canada. Mark Ibsen is competing in that group and says the extra snow in December helped his dogs prepare for this close to 400-mile journey.
We started in August, 2 or 3 miles at a time, pulling a car, and then you just add miles and build up their muscles, build up their endurance. Then you start going for speed, building up their speed, running fast without much resistance.
The training can take up to months, and the race itself can take between 70 and 90 hours, but the trainers say it's well worth it.
And when I'm behind the sled and it's out on this trail and they're quiet and the dogs are in rhythm and they're breathing and they're patting and they're going, it's just beautiful. I love it.
But not everyone is taking on the daunting full marathon. Mike Johnson will be competing in the mid-distance race this year. He has been running dogs for about 10 years, but this is his first time in the Bear Grease Marathon. Johnson says he is excited to be a part of this legendary event.
But this is really hectic. As soon as they let go of the dogs, everything calms down, and then it's just you and your dogs, and pretty cool.
Both Johnson and Ibsen are looking forward to seeing how they'll finish in this year's race. No matter what the results are, Ibsen says racing sled dogs is an amazing experience.
It's like rocket travel. It's terrifying at the start and at the finish, and very peaceful while you orbit the Earth.
In Duluth, Krista Koski, the Northlands News Center.
Keep it low.
feel so badly that I don't have this child in my arms.
Mary Leggett was 40 when she gave birth at home to a baby girl in 1991. She kept the child through the night, but in the morning she wrapped the infant in a blanket, sealed her in a cardboard box, which she then threw into a West Duluth dumpster.
I laid it in the box, and the tape that was put on the box was a sign of finality.
The News Center I-Team visited Leggett at Taycheedah State Prison in 1997. It was there she told us her pregnancy had been the result of a rape and that she killed the baby because she suffered a severe form of postpartum depression.
The birth was just the whole entire rape coming back. And I don't remember, I didn't take this out on the child, but I didn't identify it with being a child.
The Wisconsin State Prison Parole Board will release Leggett to her daughter, who lives in Hudson, Wisconsin. Lori Gross has stood by her mother throughout her incarceration.
She's not a murderer. I mean, she doesn't have a cold bone in her body.
Another person who advocated for Leggett's early release was Wisconsin State Representative Frank Boyle.
She's been a model prisoner. She's not a threat to society. She could be a contributing member of society.
Leggett is scheduled to be released for good behavior from Taycheedah State Prison for Women on February 14th. In Superior, Barbara Rialts, the Northlands News Center.
Okay.
Just go around the table.
All right. Okay, Tessa, you can take your turn.
It doesn't have a quantitative number tied to it, like we have a goal of hiring X amount of people of color, and that would be more along an affirmative action plan.
Okay.
Just go around the table.
All right. Okay, Tessa, you can take your turn.
Liz Witherspoon, and I've known her since she was a baby. She grew up with my kids and in the church.
Faith and community service were important parts of Sharon Elizabeth Witherspoon's life. Her mother, Sharon Lee Witherspoon, is the secretary of this region's NAACP. Her father was the late Reverend Sylvester Witherspoon, pastor at Duluth's Calvary Baptist Church. Longtime family friend Claudia Washington remembers Liz's service in recent years at St. Mark's AME Church in Duluth and how she helped the late Reverend Arthur Foy.
She really was his assistant in many cases, and she drove the bus to pick up members in the church for services on Sunday or for choir rehearsal, etc.
Washington, who has been in close contact with the family since receiving the news of Witherspoon's death, says Liz was last home over the Christmas holiday and called her son, living in Duluth, on December 31st to wish him a happy birthday.
That was the last contact that the family had with her.
There are indications that this single mother of five had her troubles. Authorities in Texas say at the time of Witherspoon's death, there were theft and assault warrants against her there and in Minnesota, a fact that surely makes the mystery surrounding her murder even more unsettling for Witherspoon's mother, who lost a son, Sam Witherspoon, to homicide in Duluth in 1994.
She's struggling. She's struggling. Like I said, she's still in shock, really, but struggling getting through the minutes.
In Duluth, Edward Moody, the Northlands News Center.
That she has to deal with, and so
that's always hard.
Yeah.
Danielle, what are you going to be doing? Exercise physiology.
Absolutely excellent. Great.
I want to hear from them why they feel that and what message I can bring to Secretary Spellings and the President so that we can get this competitiveness initiative off the ground and running throughout our country.
How many of you would like to, what's your name?
Well, they're knowing that I'm not going to
Yeah, that's, well, yeah, because I...
teacher and I enjoy math, so a math teacher would be
All right.
Wow.
It's not a trick question. Listen, I was at 5th grade today, and we did...
Heart disease is the #1 killer of women, but healthcare officials say women are not aware of their risk.
Even though we're getting more and more women to realize that 1 in 2 women die of heart disease, very few women.
St. Mary's Duluth Clinic cardiologist Dr. Kathleen Brady says awareness is important, but women need to start taking action.
We still are portraying heart disease and heart attacks in men more than in women. And so I think we just need to keep working to convince women that they need to know about their hearts and they need to know their risk factors for cardiovascular disease.
SMDC cardiologist Dr. Nancy Hassinger says there are things you can do to help protect yourself.
Smoking is just such a huge problem. Obesity and its complications are such a huge problem. So anything we can do to lower our risk of developing those diseases, or if we do have them, learning how to manage them properly.
Specialists say to be heart healthy, women need to schedule a doctor's appointment, be physically active, lose excess weight, and stop smoking. Or you can get involved directly with healthcare programs.
And once identifying them, how can we get help to better our lives and get potentially involved in a program or an exercise program? The prevention or the women's heart program here are both excellent ways to get involved.
Health experts say the disease can largely be prevented. So now Go Red for Women experts want women to love and protect their hearts.
But now we want them to take action. We want them to know their numbers, do what you need to do to keep a healthy heart.
Kelly Lavoie, the Northlands News Center.
I think the one thing I'd want them to take back is something that I didn't come up with, but that Paul Wellstone said, which is that the future belongs to those who are passionate and work hard. So it's really about working hard for these things.
To serve Governor Perpich in the Minnesota Department of Agriculture.
What happened during your administration?
In some places, it's about active discrimination, and we need to... Our names are on databases inside the Secretary of State's office. I will make sure that the systems and the databases are secure so that no one can hack them and steal our identities, and no one can hack them and try to change the outcome of the elections. Men and women who are overseas and others who are out of the country can vote in a timely way. Accurate and maybe a little, changing opportunity for me. First, it put me in touch with the true heroes of America's democracy. Distrust of our system. There is so much question about the accuracy and about the mechanism by which we're going forward. And within the National Association.
And it's my honor to introduce Mark.
Thank you for being here. This morning we had a
The N1001 Coffee Company has been grinding beans into Arco coffee since 1916. Donald Andreessen is the company's third-generation general manager. His family was born with coffee in its blood.
But we got a 2-year-old at home that grabbed my wife's cup and drank it black, so and maybe it's in the genes, I'm not too sure.
Because Arco has been around for 90 years, some Northlanders associate the brand with what their grandparents would drink. They do have plenty of other flavors.
There's still a lot of people that think Arco is regular and decaf and don't realize that a major grocery store could have 75 items from us, all kinds of flavors and roasts.
Along with modern flavors, the old company is also adopting modern marketing techniques.
The majority of our business is within 200 miles, but then we have an online store these days, so people want hard to find flavors. They want their Swiss chocolate almond, fair trade organic coffee or something like that. But that's also opened up, there's people ordering from all over country.
Arco employs about 40 workers, including special needs people from organizations like Goodwill Industries. Andreessen credits his company's longevity to all of them.
I think that the company, what it really is the people here. That's what makes it, and I think we've had a lot of really talented folks to make it happen here.
In Superior, Dave Anderson, the Northlands News Center.
And my dad always felt he was living on borrowed time, that he had a time bomb in him, and then at some point it would come back. We just didn't know when.
Jody Helmer's father, Floyd Peso, was actually one of the lucky ones. Doctors were able to buy him more time by removing his lung infected with mesothelioma, a disease he got from inhaling asbestos during his years as a sheet metal worker. But 3 years later, his cancer returned. This time it was much more aggressive.
His tumor, from where they had removed his right lung, had grown from the size of a softball to the size of a football in under 3 days.
3 days after that, Floyd Peso died at the age of 71, passing on just as the U.S. Senate prepares to debate a new bill that would set up a $140 billion trust fund for asbestos victims. Opponents say it's not enough money to cover claims that may increase drastically, particularly after asbestos exposure during the 9/11 attacks. Supporters, including Minnesota Senator Norm Coleman, say victims would get the help they need. Here's how it would work. People could qualify for one of 9 levels of compensation. Payments would range from $25,000 for the breathing impaired to $1.1 million for mesothelioma victims. However, victims would forfeit their right to sue companies that once used asbestos.
None of the money is going to bring my dad back at this point. It's not about the money.
Jody Helmer says the bill
banning
would just be a
asbestos,
Band-Aid
and
and that the real solution is to eliminate asbestos that still remains in many older buildings across the country altogether. It's something her father fought for until his last breath. And she says with her mother, Jackie, by her side, she will continue his work.
And we can't stop fighting. he did too big of a fight for 3 years. And the one thing with him dying is he taught me to be strong and to keep the fight going.
In Duluth, Edward Moody, the Northlands News Center.
But
it's been 4 years. We have a female firefighter in this station. That's a firefighter paramedic. And she's sharing restrooms and locker rooms right now, so it's time for renovation. All of those different groups that use our facilities at different times, and a lot of that's in the evenings when they have to do tours and see different things, and we help the public and area out in a lot of different ways like that.
This time of the year, you love a reason to get out and just socialize, but I think it's the love aspect.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to have to do some action here for the camera over there. It's going to, is this channel?
This is the largest sports show ever produced in the building. We are occupying additional space that has never been utilized in the past.
Did you work with Jim Wisniewski, or was he Channel 3? Is this yours? Okay.
We certainly are not a business, and we don't have the ability to just simply raise prices and assume that we're going to have, a lot of traffic on the street.
Security rules, and if we would have had that kind of developable space in our what would happen to that liquor license? Would that then become I'm very optimistic that we'll be able to acquire the building and to get that building restored and kept and to preserve Superior's past. The last thing we want to do is tear that building down.
We need to have spaces available where if somebody comes to this town in a good location,
There's talk of bullying going on. She being an A student, being treated different because she was good. She's good in school. She was academically, did very well, and that's the thing.
I love Wisconsin winters, and if you're going to live in Wisconsin in the winter, you got to have some reason to be outside, and you never can train enough to be ready for the Berkey.
That's because experts say the 51-kilometer course is one of the toughest in the world. Skiers say they have been training for months in order to do well in the race. Besides the trail, racers also had some difficulties with the chilly temperatures. But racer Chad Geese, who was the first American to cross the finish line, says the new snowfall made the course an easy run.
The course was in fantastic shape. We had a little colder weather this morning than we anticipated, but the snow was great, and couldn't have asked for any better, nicer conditions.
15,000 fans cheered on skiers during their final leg of the race. Duluth racer Adam Swank finished 10th overall and says his favorite part of the course is turning the corner for the final stretch to see thousands of fans cheer him across the finish line.
Oh, it feels wonderful. I felt great pretty much the whole time out there. You're working hard, but it feels, it's a beautiful thing to come across the finish line down Main Street with everybody ringing the cowbells and cheering loud.
For skiers, the Berkey race will go down in the books as a first for some or a continuing tradition for many others. Kelly Lavoie, the Northlands News Center.
Don't be speeding out there, and stay away from alcohol when you're going to go out and have a day of riding. Save that till the end, if you want to have a couple of bumps.
Baby boomers like Don Douglas are the fastest growing group when it comes to new gym memberships. Gone are the leg warmers and leotards of the 70s, replaced by sweat and determination to hang on to our health.
A couple of years ago, I was bothered with a little bit of chest pain. I didn't think anything of it or thought it was any serious thing. So they did all kinds of tests and everything else, and the tests were, again, indications that in the future things could get bad.
This 52-year-old boomer has several heart disease risk factors. There's a family history of heart disease and diabetes. He's taking medication for high blood pressure and cholesterol. He has sleep apnea and is overweight.
Run for a minute, walk for 2 minutes.
50-year-old Karen Lott is also at risk for heart disease. Her factors include a family history of diabetes and high cholesterol. A thyroid problem has led to extra pounds, which are also a risk factor. To reduce their risks, Don and Karen enrolled in the Heart to Heart program at St. Mary's Duluth Clinic Heart Center.
I'm new to it, just a few months into it, but I already saw the value in it.
In just 3 short months, Karen's lost 30 pounds. No strangers to diets. Don once dropped 80 pounds, but gained them back. This time he wants to do it the right way.
The exercise, the physical end of it, and then also the nutrition, and learn how and what to eat, when not to eat, and what to eat.
Twice per week, Don and Karen exercise under the supervision of exercise physiologist Patty Little. Patty closely monitors heart rate and blood pressure, increasing activities as tolerated.
Because of the calories.
Absolutely.
Dietitian Bonnie Brost offers nutrition tips and ways to cut empty calories. She's teaching both how to shop by reading labels to make healthy choices.
So the first night I go out and go grocery shopping, which usually takes a half an hour, I was there for about 2 hours.
Don joined the Heart to Heart program in December. His new lifestyle is already paying off.
2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, After lunch, you're just about ready to take a nap, and now it's 4:30 or it's 5 o'clock, it's time to go. So the energy level is much greater.
Over the next year, Don's new lifestyle will help him lose about 2 pounds a week, or 100 pounds.
My goal is not as much as how many pounds I lose, is can I get off this medication? Can I get off the CPAP machine?
Karen would like to lose another 30 pounds. Just like Don, her #1 goal is heart health.
I feel happier as well, you know, because I know I'm doing the right thing.
This is a vision of the future for UW-Superior, a $30 million state-of-the-art academic building. And university officials took that vision all the way to the state capitol.
The desire would be, obviously, to have the Department of Administration, the legislature, recognize the importance of a new academic building so that we can, in fact, take down 2 buildings that really have outlived their useful lives.
UW-Superior went for 30 years without getting a new building. Then, with funding from the state, a few years ago they built the Health and Wellness Center. Now they want to tear down 2 aging buildings, McCaskill and Sundquist, and build a new academic building. It would be equipped with classrooms, faculty offices, specialized labs, and workspace for student and faculty research. The Chancellor and other Superior City leaders met with the Department of Administration in Madison and made it clear how much the university needs this new building. And it appears their efforts are paying off. UWS is one step closer to getting a new academic building, and state officials here in Madison say they should expect an answer sometime in the next year. We talked with Governor Jim Doyle, and he says they've been pushing the project through quickly to help with the growth of UW-Superior.
It is vital that we maintain a strong University of Wisconsin presence. In my judgment, it is absolutely essential to the health of the region and to the strength of the University of Wisconsin system, demonstrating that we're out there in all parts of the state. So
this is going to be a major positive step forward, and all of the responses we're getting from the Department of Administration, from the legislators we've been talking with, seem to be very, very much pointed in the direction of support for this building.
So it appears the future vision for UW-Superior may soon become a reality. In Madison, I'm Julie Moravchek for True North News.
The Highway 53 corridor is tied up with mines on one side and cities on the other side. And Virginia's landlocked because of the 4 cities. Our borders touch each other.
It's something that Hibbing's needed, just to get everybody together in one place and have a good time, and let everybody know what we do have in Hibbing.
They lost a lot of games. Like I am right. Will be.
A lot of people are saying things that really reflect how good of a man he was. But number 34 will live on forever.
See you tomorrow night.
And most of all, we yearn to see one more life-loving smile and hear him say one more time how we must live this
We don't have the luxury of a bunch of extra money laying around where we can just park money for years and hope that some project comes in the door down the road.
In 2003, Governor Pawlenty took $49 million from the 21st Century Minerals Fund to help balance the general budget. That fund was used to support projects on the Iron Range. The governor says that when projects get the environmental clearances, private funding, and permits needed, he'll be ready to help with the cost.
It looks like they are viable projects, then we will be partners and supporters of those projects. I'm not interested, nor should we be interested, in going back and recreating funds that just sit there without actual immediate needs and uses.
Governor Pawlenty spoke about two projects that are making progress: Minnesota Steel and Excelsior Energy. He says these projects are prime examples of where funding money will go.
They are advancing through the process sufficiently in terms of environmental review, in terms of the possibility of private financing and actual construction and development, where we stand ready to help.
Large companies, look, that is very good news. That is what we were seeking from the beginning. And we are, look, as...
Infrastructure, Homeland Security. Port security is in worse shape today than aviation security was on September 11, 2001.
"95% could contain atomic bombs and we wouldn't know it."
We've taken a number of steps to push out the screening of containers to where those containers are screened overseas.
House Republicans say they're still planning to vote this week on an objection to the Dubai Ports deal, just to get it on the record. Brian Moore, NBC News, Washington.
Sixth grader Karina Gennard didn't know very much about meth before today.
I learned that if you go on meth, you don't get a lot of sleep, you lose a lot of weight, and different things happen to your body.
The freakiest thing she learned, a nasty condition called meth bugs, where addicts scratch their skin.
Probably the fact of the itching and then not be able to sleep or eat, because I like to eat.
Authorities are hoping disturbing facts and pictures about meth will help keep kids from trying the deadly drug.
We tell them that the effects it has on the body, how it can change you from looking, 18 years old to 48 years old in a short time, maybe even weeks or months. How it ruins your teeth, depletes your bone marrow, depletes your body of nutrients.
Students really got fired up during this meth presentation. It featured a real undercover narcotics officer, and students were impressed. The talk is part of an entire day of information and activities aimed to help students deal with substance use and abuse.
Meth is a big problem here, and most adults don't even know about it. And this is the age that are going to be, maybe introduced to this by some unscrupulous person coming up, and they need to know what it's about and how it can harm them, so they can make the best decisions.
Officer Magnuson believes most kids are smart and will listen. Frankie Abbott already knows what he's going to do if someone offers him drugs.
Just tell them no, and if they keep bugging me, then just walk away from them.
The day wasn't just about education and a say no message. There were also tons of fun activities for students to try.
What colors would you like?
Not only did Teen Issues Day teach students about the dangers of drinking and drugs, it also showed them some healthy alternatives, ways to have fun without chemicals. Among them, cultural awareness, learning how to golf, crafts, or maybe extreme sports like skiing and snowboarding. Community volunteers like me presented information about alcohol abuse and how to get help. That next time you may be presented to a situation where you have alcohol that you may decide to say no, I hope that you do. Dave Starkey told kids about Al-Anon and Alateen, programs that help people with alcoholic friends and family.
I am now happy whether I be sitting at home reading a book, driving down the road, at my job.
School Superintendent Jay Mitchell is hopeful students will take advantage of all the information and use it to make better choices.
They see all of these people from the community coming in and giving them a whole litany of alternatives, things to do. You know, because we always hear, well, there's nothing to do, I don't have anything to do. From hobbies to scrapbooking to the number of things that they had. There's lots of interesting things to do to make your life worth, fulfilled.
In Superior, I'm Melissa Ellefson for True North News.
From songs about the words of the land to songs about the people and even one about the name. The kids at Lincoln Elementary School are learning about folk music and having fun.
We get to write a song, and this is one of our first times on the stage in 3rd grade.
The students are being taught by folk musician Charlie McGuire. McGuire is visiting Lincoln as part of the Iron World Discovery Center outreach program. He says he wants to show the kids Iron Range culture and history.
There's no reason why we just can't keep those things going, in a younger generation of kids.
The students got a chance to write their own folk songs and will even have a chance to perform. McGuire says being on stage will be a good experience for the kids.
I think also that they can get some confidence in performing in front of an audience, and that's all really good stuff for later on in life.
McGuire says he hopes to pass on a love of folk music to the students. He also says the kids are taking away an important lesson.
I think they realize that they can make their own music rather than just listening to it all the time, that they can make their own lyrics rather than relying on someone else to say who they are and so on.
McGuire says he's been writing songs about the Iron Range for more than 30 years. In Hibbing, Krista Koski, Range 11.
We had quite the welcoming for him. So every year we celebrate his birthday. They said his birthday was March 17th, so this is pretty close.
I'm not going to lie, it feels pretty good. It's quite an honor, especially with Mr. Sanders' help. He really is a lot of help, and just to win something like this is quite amazing.
We had a lot of community involvement in this project, and so it was a lot of fun bringing the community in terms of the professional engineers that are here in Hibbing, to have them help with the preparation for the students.
Our sideboard, the opponent may place a stone of their color.
This is our major event. It also gives, of course, the league some publicity, and it helps finance the many projects we do in Douglas County, such as the rifle range, archery range. We help to transplant the turkeys that came into the state now, and we have boat landing projects, youth education, many projects, and this helps us fund them. Excellent.
One of the firemen was nice enough to go back up into our apartment to get my money for me and my medication, and he was a really good guy for helping us out there. I really respected that. And
into the need, but we are in a catch-up mode, and it's going to cost about $1 billion. We are seeing a slight decrease this year due to some federal and state reductions in transportation funding, as well as increasing costs for road work. This is a significant concern because improving Minnesota's transportation system is one of the most important investments our state government can make.
it does. No, because I was hanging up on the fridge.
There's going to be a roast beef and pork dinner and with all the fixings, and there's going to be a raffle, door prize tickets, and there's going to be an auction, a live auction, so it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully not. Hopefully we'll take care of the problem and we'll be good to go.
Cool. I want to see. Okay.
It was leaking vegetable oil and it was leaking some diesel fuel from the truck. And right away the fire department plugged up the diesel fuel and started blocking the vegetable oil from going down in the sewer system.
Wow.
Filled up pretty fast. 15 minutes. It's called Mother Nature, so.
That's the problem with these dikes. After all the pressure for that long period of time, sooner or later they start giving out.
It was Tuesday afternoon at 118 Mill Street in Ironwood when homeowner Dave Carlson smelled something suspicious.
I was on the couch watching TV and I smelled just a slight hint of plastic burning. I went through all the rooms, there's no fire. What is it? And then I happened to go outside to feed my dog, and then I seen the flames coming up through the eaves.
Dave tried to put the fire out himself, but it was too late.
For a second there, I thought it was just in that one spot. Well, I didn't know it was between the floor and the ceiling, so the upstairs, so it was gone. I couldn't do nothing, so I called 911.
Director of Public Safety Bob Erspalmer says firefighters arrived on scene to heavy smoke. They were fighting the blaze from inside when there was a sudden explosion.
Fires have a mind of their own, and you have to read them as you're fighting fires, and sometimes unexpected things happen, and that's why you train a lot and you wear the proper equipment for things like this that happen.
It was a flashover. The intense heat caused a mass ignition of fire.
In the back here where that white door is, we had that open and we were fighting the fire, and we had 2 officers inside fighting it down on their knees, of course, and that's where the flashover occurred, and it blew them to the outside here between this garage and the white door.
And when rescuers came to pull them to safety, a second explosion injured another 2 firefighters. All of them were taken to the hospital.
All 4 were transported to the hospital. All 4 were treated for minor injuries and were released. They were checked for things such as their lungs. All checked out okay. We had a few that were banged up a little bit, a little sore, but overall, they're all doing fine.
Erspalmer believes the firefighters' training and experience played a part in keeping them safe, because he says flashovers can be extremely dangerous.
They weren't very far inside the residence at the time, and when the flashover occurred, it blew them out, physically blew them out, but if they had been deeper inside the house, it could have been much worse.
Homeowner Dave Carlson lost everything in this fire, and the sad part is this isn't the only home he's lost. Carlson moved to Ironwood after his home in Florida was destroyed by Hurricane Charlie.
And that pretty much wiped that house, so in fact that's what made me decide to come back here, because I was born and raised here.
But now all he has left is his dog Chucky.
There, that smells good, don't it?
His house and everything he owns is gone. But in the face of complete devastation, Dave has a remarkable attitude.
A couple times I spoke to him as we were fighting the fire, and he had an unbelievable attitude. He was in great spirits for having your house on fire.
Nothing you can do. You know what I mean? It doesn't help feel bad. I mean, you got to deal with what you have,
Watching the place he calls home burn was hard for Dave to see.
Can't do nothing. Just at a loss, In fact, I don't even think it registered right away exactly how much stuff you have to go through. I mean, you don't even know where to turn next, but it'll be fine.
2, 3.
Have a great weekend from the Lincoln Park School.
District 1 offices up by the Copper Top Church. The streets are one of our resources in the city that constantly need attention, and regardless of how much money we get to reconstruct them, we're going to have potholes and we're going to have to go out there and fix them every single year.
Well, our neighborhood needs a new street. It's really in large disrepair, and we have a lot of trouble with water main breaks, so I believe it's time to fix it.
That's pretty much common knowledge, every spring when the ice goes out of Park Point, people come down and start fishing. Well, I guess you come out here because you don't have to stand in the river, a little easier fishing. Well, springtime comes around, if any smelt stage in here, some fish chase them around, and that's what we're trying to catch, is any fish chasing smelt. There's small coho salmon. They end up at the brule later on when they spawn. I've sat here for 3 hours and not had a bite and caught 3 fish right before dark before. If you want to try to catch fish, you just got to put time in. I mean, there's days that you don't catch anything and people around you are catching fish, and sometimes you leave a little earlier because of that fact. Fish when you can. Enjoy the weather. You got to go to work, and then that's all the fun and games is over. Sure is a nice day to fish.
What we did was we updated a lot of the jokes. We inserted jokes about local people, Duluth Superior audiences would recognize, because that's again what Aristophanes did. He had a lot of fun with people in the news back in that time.
It's ready.
It's all right.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
I guess I would have 3 bits of advice. One, there's a lot of free services online that you can do it electronically, and it doesn't take that long.
TJ Johnson, a Duluth tax advisor with Thorlickson Company, says all you have to do is log on to irs.gov to file electronically, and again for free. He says an average homeowner can follow the directions and have their taxes easily done in no longer than 30 minutes. More experienced tax filers, 15 minutes.
2, if you owe or you think you owe and you're not going to get taxes done, make a payment that's bigger than you think you owe, and then file your extension.
Johnson says you'll get back whatever amount of money you overpay, no worries.
And the third one would be if you have money coming back and you just don't want to do it over the weekend because it's Easter, then file your extension and just get it later. There's no penalty when the IRS owes you money.
Here's one more important heads up. Although e-filers can send their forms minutes before midnight Monday, mail users here in Duluth and Superior need to be aware that post office window hours will not be extended.
Now that most people are using e-filing, we have found that it's just like a normal busy day. It's not like it once was where we needed to have extra help and extra collections.
The DNR's Forestry Division says the helicopter, which holds 3 trained firefighters and 1 pilot, is one of the most important fighting tools to put out and help contain wildfires in our area. On standby, trained firefighters prepare to put a water basket in the DNR's helicopter that fights wildfires.
You can see the bucket laying over there. We get out, we carry that on board with us, and then we get out and deploy the bucket, and it's attached underneath the helicopter.
Helicopter manager Doug Wilson says the basket can dump 108 gallons of water.
And he'll go dip out of whatever water resource is large enough and deep enough.
The water sources can be a pond, lake, or river. Wilson says the helicopter can make turnarounds within minutes, drastically helping firefighters battle fires on the ground. Pilot Stuart Allen says there's a method to dropping water from the air.
If you're in heavy timber, then you need to concentrate your water more in order to put out those heavy fuels.
For grass fires, water is spread along a farther distance.
We try to get to the fire when it's small. If we can knock it down, well then it's easier for the ground crews to go in there and clean up behind us. They don't have as large a fire to mop up afterwards.
Now, although Allen is in full control during flight, he says, like all firefighters, battling wildfires is a team effort.
You know, I drop and put out big chunks of fire, but then they'll come behind with their bladder bags and put out the small pieces that I miss so that they don't start up into another large fire.
Wilson says the wildfire danger in our area is either at high or very high at this time. In Cloquet, Dan Hanger, the Northlands News Center.
New record. But it's not a record she's applauding. She says these growing prices are breaking the bank and how much she gets behind the wheel.
It affects how I live, how I don't drive.
For others, it's not deterring them from making the long road trips.
It doesn't affect our decision to come up here, but it is a pain in the neck.
The gas prices are a little high, but I've lived all around the world and I know that gas prices are a lot higher than this in Europe and have been for a long time.
And to save a few bucks, many are trading cars for one that gets better gas mileage.
It's getting now beyond frustrating. It's getting to the point of, you know, maybe I need a different vehicle.
We are going to drive the Taurus and not the Ford pickup truck.
Shooting. I don't want you to get Christian.
shooting.